It all started when I was at Pangong Tso Lake. It was 7 o'clock in the morning. I woke up, quickly got freshened up, had my breakfast, and decided to leave. It was minus 4 degrees. I was freezing. I was ignited with the fire of the divine mountain that I wanted to conquer. I started at 7:20 and checked the map. The map showed me 3 different routes. One was going to take me 6 hours and 20 minutes. Another 5 hours. And there was this third road. This third road looked promising, and it was supposed to take 4 hours and 45 minutes for me to drive from Pangong to Hanle. I wanted to reach there quickly, so I took the detour. I started my journey. It was buttery smooth. The roads were good. There was only one problem: the weather. After 20 minutes of ride, I reached a place where there was no network, and there was no road either. The road was made of gravel, big gravel. It was difficult to ride bike over it. On the left hand side there was the Pangong Lake, and on the right hand side there were huge mountains. The mountains were very close. Those mountains were so close that they looked like as if they're going to cause a landslide. That was the first time when I felt scared. I couldn't control my bike. It was shaking. There was no balance. I was barely driving at the speed of 10 kilometers per hour. Even I could walk faster than that. The road was long, and in front, the only thing I could see was the gravel. I continued my journey. It was difficult to ride over it. After a few minutes of off-roading, I reached a place where on the right hand side it was sand, and I was able to see the road on the top of it at a little distance. I decided to leave this road and take the other one. I took my bike towards the right hand side, but my motorcycle couldn't ride over the sand. I had to return back to the same route. But after the 5 minutes of riding, I saw the broken roads, and I used that to climb on that road. There was no network, so I decided to take the help from the other riders who were crossing by. They told me that you need to stay on this road and it is going to take you straight to Hanle. I got happy, excited, and there was a sigh of relief that finally I now have my route. Little did I know, the actual adventure waited ahead. After half an hour of riding, I reached a place where I could see mountains at the distance and the sand in between the road and the mountain. There were no trees, there were no river the way we usually have in Ladakh. I thought, it's a very good view, very unique for me. I continued my journey. After 5 minutes, the sand started coming over the road. I couldn't drive over it. My motorcycle was skidding. It was slipping over it. I tried multiple times to ride through that sand, but I couldn't. Then I waited for a little while and I saw a group of riders riding through the same road. They helped me come out of the sand and told me to follow them. I thought it was a good idea. I continued my journey, and a point came when there was no road, but only a road made of gravel, and on the left hand side, the sand. I knew it very well that if I'll drive on the gravel, my bike would fall. After all, my motorcycle is not meant for off-roading. It is meant for cruising on the highways. I decided to take my motorcycle in the sand. There, I drove it for around 5 kilometers. It was a very, very difficult way. The riders of the other group fell on the way many times. And the saddest part was the alpha of that group wasn't allowing the fellow riders to help them. So I decided to help. I left my bike and I started helping the riders who fell while riding on the sand. The road was pretty much the same for next 60 kilometers. I couldn't do anything. I wasn't left with any choice but to ride on that sandy road. The time came when I reached a bridge. There, I took some rest. My body was aching. It was hurting. This motorcycle is 200 kilograms, and to handle it, I used all my strength. So I believe that was the reason that caused the pain. I had a tea, I had some fried noodles, and I continued my journey. From there till the main city of Hanle, the road was pretty good. I was able to ride at the speed of 60 or 70 kilometers per hour. I did my research before continuing my journey, and most of the fellow riders told me that you should go with another group of riders if you're going to Umling. And luckily there was one group. I asked their leader whether can I join their group or not. He said, "Are you alone?" I said, "Yeah, I'm a solo rider." He warned me, "You shouldn't have come here alone." I was able to understand what he's trying to say because I had already suffered a lot of pain when I was riding to Hanle. But thinking that Hanle was the toughest route that I could find to ride, I could easily handle Umling Road. How harder it could be. So I told him, "I'm a solo rider and I would like to join your group only from here till Umling. He said, "Yes, if you're alone, you can join." The group said that this is our gathering point and we all are going to meet here after half an hour. Now the timer started. I only had half an hour to search for a room that is under my budget, freshen up, get some diet, fuel myself up, have some water, and reach back to the same place. It took me 10 minutes from the gathering point to the city to reach, and then I started looking for the rooms. I found one room and the lady was charging me 2400 rupees. I did some bargaining and she said she cannot give it to me less than 2200 rupees. I had no choice. I was thinking if I would lose this group, I don't know. when the next group is going to go to Umling. I agreed to her quotation, quickly kept all the belongings inside, freshened up, locked the room, and I came back to the gathering point. To my surprise, there was nobody there. I was shocked. The way they were telling me to stay there, to meet them there, was promising. But they weren't there. There was another group of riders. There were 5 people. They were sitting there. And I asked them, "Did you see any group departing towards Umling? They said, "No. But we are the group that came from Umling." I quickly got an idea. I thought, maybe they have already left, leaving me behind. Of course, I was not the part of their group. Why would they wait for me? I asked them for the route to Umling. They said, the road right in front of this hotel, this restaurant, will take you straight to Umling. He applied a condition: do not leave this road. When he said this, I understood it well enough that he meant it. There was no internet. Offline maps were not supporting me. So I took their advice. I began my journey full of passion, full of the fire inside that now I'm going to reach the highest motorable road in the world at 19,000 feet. Umling. I began my journey. At first, it was the ascent. I had to climb a mountain while riding my motorcycle. The ascent was steep. Luckily, my motorcycle had enough power in it. It took me to the top of the mountain in around 45 to 50 minutes. Then came the descent. And that was the time when the challenge started. It was very windy. The wind was so strong that I was struggling to control my bike. Somehow I managed to bring it down the hill. It was very, very cold. When I was riding, it was -2 degrees. But because of the wind, it felt like -10 degrees. My hands were freezing. Even my drinking water was freezing. I started getting a headache. But this was no time to stop the journey and moan over it. After the descent came a valley. It was around 10 kilometers long valley. There was a village in between as well. I crossed that village and then began the last ascent. While ascending, I saw another group of riders somewhere at the gap of 20 minutes, I was able to see them from the top. But I did not stop for them. I started my Umling ride at 3:30 p.m. and I was already warned that to and fro will take me around 5 hours and there is no fuel pump in between. With all the reserve fuel I had, I was not willing to sacrifice any time. After climbing that hill, I saw there were many boards that said, now you're even higher than the Everest base camp. That was the first time when I felt the pride that I did it. I climbed the mountain. And then finally I reached Umling. And that was the biggest problem. I reached Umling at the wrong time. It was 6 o'clock in the evening. The sun was almost set. The temperature was dropping rapidly. The weather was getting worse and worse. So finally, after clicking few pictures of my achievement, I decided to quickly begin my journey back to Hanle. This entire journey I did in one day, starting from Pangong Lake to Hanle to Umling and then back to Hanle. While coming back, while descending from the mountain, it wasn't very difficult at first because it was downhill. I didn't even have to push the bike. I didn't even have to give much throttle. It was running smoothly. The challenge began when the sun set. The temperature dropped to -8 degrees and the wind became stormy. I could hear the voice of the wind in my ears. It was very sharp. My fingertips were freezing. My knees were freezing too. I saw few fellow riders on the way. They were also coming down the hill. They were fully geared. They had all the woolen clothes and everything. They were ready. For me, it was my first time. I didn't know. After 10 to 15 minutes, it was so cold that I couldn't even throttle my bike. My hands were freezing. A time came on the way when, after descending from one mountain and climbing the other one, I stopped midway, thinking that I will take help from some car or some pickup truck that was passing every hour or so. I waited there for 10 minutes But I couldn't wait any longer.